key question really. What's your advice to CISOs on handling stress and pressure when it comes from different facets of the business?
And this is probably one of the biggest challenges we've got in the industry is around, a lot of CISOs burning out, very quickly over a space of 18 months, even shorter in some cases. Mental health is growing in the industry just because of the stress levels. It's cyber attacks never sleep. They're always 24/7 happening all the time. But unfortunately, the business, people who's actually responding to those do need the rest. They do need the downtime. They do need the balance. And unfortunately, because of that lack of budget and lack of resources, the IT security team and the CISO are basically sometimes working around the clock just to keep the business going. And I would recommend, organizations that at the end of the day, if you hadn't had an incident or a ransomware attack, go and shake the IT security team's hand, give them the pat on the back, because we also fail to recognize them when things are working. We fail to appreciate them when things are just working normally. And this is an area that, with the increased level of stress, and in my job, I'll never forget moments of my life where stress was at its highest level. And it made me realize sometimes what's the most, impactful things and when I don't need to worry and when I do need to worry. It takes me back to my time when I worked in the ambulance service in Northern Ireland. And the systems that I had, our metrics, going back to those success metrics, the metrics that we had, that was actually, if we didn't get ambulances to, let's say, on the scene within 23 minutes or so, then there was a high risk of people dying. And those were the metrics. So our systems had to be guaranteed that there was no 23-minute downtime. And
it's a pretty serious metric.
Absolutely. So when you're in that situation, that's what stress is to me. That's when I don't sleep at night. That's when I get worried, is that when systems and the critical infrastructure we have, that when it's unavailable has an impact to life. And that's the ones that's the ones that matter. That's the ones that really has an impact. And after that, I remember even a few years later working in financial foreign exchange money markets. And we were trading through, hundreds of millions going through our systems each day. And people, was asking me, is that stressful environment? I was like, you know what? No, because we're only dealing with money. Before, my last job was dealing with lives. And this is a more relaxing, less stressful environment. And that's what we kind of really look at. We really need to think about, what is really the biggest risks to the business. And those are the things that we need to be, then that's the ones that cause more stress, rather than the little things, rather than the minor kind of things that just do happen frequently. And it's also by creating a balance. The research that I've done recently about what motivates employees and what the challenge that the CISO does have, is that it's really about, the reason why we're in this business is we're not financially motivated, is we're motivated about being the protectors of the business.
Right.
We're almost like the
unsung heroes.
Unsung heroes, the superheroes that sit in a dark room and keep the system working. And it's a job that we do, and we basically try to do it to our best, and we do it ethically and with integrity, and we building trust around it. But I think is the reason why we do that. But it's to basically get to have a balance to spend time with the family as well. And we must maintain that. As a business and organization, not only the executive board need to realize it, because it's important for them to keep a healthy CISO and keep the CISO balanced. And then the CISO also needs to be able to do that for their team that they're leaders of. So making sure that there is that fine balance, and to make sure that the team does get the equal time to spend time with the family, to get that downtime, to get to re-energize, to get to go to conferences, to get to learn, to get to network, get that time off from that, the critical area, the critical, instance that you're working throughout the day and weekend. So my advice is that really understand what the true risks are, and what the ones that really do matter. Whether, for me in the ambulance service, it was about lives. Whether it's the bank, it's about major financial loss. So look at the things that really does matter, and have those as the ones that are the most important, and let the rest be try to automate it, and keep that balance, keep the motivation with the team, learning, and give them the time off they need to. One of the things I find is that many projects, employees need to work overtime or work longer hours or work weekends, and that's the not healthy part.
Would you say that that's more a case of, essentially what we're saying here is almost prioritizing for well-being,
Yes.
Would you say that, and we see this, not just in the CISO role, but across many businesses in many different roles as well. And I think that's really good. I think generally that's really good advice. It's obviously very hard to follow when everyone's telling you everything is high priority. I'm sure you understand this as well.
Everything is that. One of the things organizations, this is something that organizations really need to do, is that don't have email 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
I'm a big advocate of this.
Email should be 9 to 5, your working time.
Yeah.
That's when you receive. If it's urgent, call me.
Yeah.
Have a do not disturb setting. Make sure that it's actually enforced your employees. Make sure that when they're actually at home with their family, they're not looking at their corporate emails. They're actually spending time with the family, because when they come back to work, they actually have had the rest they need to be focused on the business, to become less stressed, more balanced, and more productive.
Right.
So one of the things is, because of course employees have mobile phones round the clock, they take them home with them, and they're using it. They've got basically work in their hand 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We need to get into a culture that we actually know the limitations and boundaries. There is people that's there to take care, or allocated to the out of office, or the critical times when things do happen. There's support teams. There's
of course
teams
there are on-call units. Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Well, I mean, when did we get into this kind of false expectation setting? I mean, this is really at the kind of the management level, or the upper level, to really set the expectation that is not right. If it shouldn't be seen as a dedicated employee if you're always online, because eventually that's going to cause some problems.
Correct. It should be an opt-in type of thing, so that it's automatically off, and that employees can decide if they want to check it. They can. They can do, let's say, a pool of those out of hours that they need to. Yeah. But it shouldn't be automatically pushed every 15 seconds when a new email comes in. So it's important that we realize that balance, and that we find a way. Even myself, I put a do not disturb on certain functions in the phone, so that when I actually it's not pinging all the time, it's not picking up all the time, and that's the way I get the balance, is that I know that that I need to focus, and that you need to shut off sometimes. And I think organizations as a culture need to not let the employees have to manage that themselves, but actually have a well-being focus, and actually try to put those policies in place from a company standard, a company culture, rather than leaving it to employees to make decisions themselves.
That's right. Yeah, it's like the infamous thing about, if you take employees, or your organisation has a policy that says we have 0 days holiday, i.e. you decide how many days you think is appropriate, they'll never stop working.
Correct.
Which is almost abuse.
it is, because ultimately we're all trying to get the goals. We all have tasks. And it's important to make sure that you take the time off, you get the balance, and then what happens is that also gives people new ideas. It gives them creativity. It gives them the sense of actually that they're doing a balance for work life, and work is helping the family. So I think it's very important that becomes a priority of the business scenario, and I think if we do that, it'll actually also make it more attractive for new talent to come into the business, because this stressful work environment is what's actually also contributing to our skills, lack of skilled resources coming into the industry. People look at this and go, that's way too stressful. It's like, I'm not going to go into that, even if it's well paid. They will actually decide in more jobs that are less stressful, more balanced. So we need to find ways to, one is reduce the stress, get that attraction for new talent to say that, yes, that is a business that actually is innovative, it is leading edge technology, and I want to be part of it, but also at the same time, I know it's not as a stressful environment that it used to be. So definitely making this a less stressful environment will attract more talent into the industry as well.